Hi, this is RJ from Mana Biscuit. I just wanted to touch base with you real quick and let you know that on this week's No Particular Order, there are a couple of things you should be aware of. Firstly, we swear a lot. Secondly, we spoil Game of Thrones, so if either of those things bother you, please go ahead and click off now. Otherwise, please enjoy this episode of No Particular Order. Hello and welcome to No Particular Order, Mana Biscuit's weekly top 5 list show where we list our top 5 whatevers in no particular order. This week, top 5 rage quits!
Oh, God!
All right, as always, getting right into the list. These are the things that made us quit, maybe permanently, maybe just for a day, but quit in a fit of rage. Usually games, sometimes TV shows, book series, what have you. It's all on the table. Let's have Jay go first because I'm rage quitting you, man.
All right. Well, first up on my list is Contra / Mega Man / Castlevania / a handful of other promising Nintendo games that ultimately I could not master. I've rage quit so many times from not being able to make a ledge jump that it's not even funny. Next up on my list, Lord of the Rings, the second 2 movies, because Liv Tyler's character is not a character.
Liv Tyler? I mean, because, yes, you know, Steven Tyler has really definitive lips.
They have the same lips, dude. They both look like fuck both.
Anyway, okay. Liv Tyler's character, rage quit. I rage quit. Go ahead.
Tyler's character. Yep, I did not. Yeah, make sure you bleep that out, man.
I may or may not. Look at the camera.
And next up, Heroes. Heroes. Shush your. This whole thing makes me angry. Anyway, next up on the list is Heroes. I love the show. Was so totally into it, and then the writer's strike happened. Nah.
Yeah, that was some bullcrap.
Yeah, it was garbage. Next up, Song of Fire and Ice. They've killed everyone I love. Every character I have had any sort of vested interest in has died at this point, and I'm done reading the series. Straight up done reading it. Unless I find out that one of them somehow lived. And then maybe I might be...
Well, you had Stoneheart. Catelyn Stark, Stoneheart, she somehow lived as a zombie that then killed Brienne. Oh, we didn't put a spoiler tag on this. I'm going to have to remember to put a spoiler tag on this.
Yeah, I was thinking about this through this whole section as Jay was, like, not spoiling things, and then you jumped in.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yep.
That's how that goes. All right, Jay, continue with your list.
The tail end of that, are you gonna? You're probably gonna edit that portion, or bleep it, one of the two.
Yeah.
Next up is Alt F4. The first time I got tricked with that, I walked away from World of Warcraft for probably 3 or 4 days.
Because you're an idiot.
I was so... Yes! I rage quit myself, okay? I was so mad at me for being a retard that I could not live life for like 3 days. Okay? Yes.
All right.
I'll give you that. That's a friggin' list.
All right. Okay. We are having the most... I mean, this is like the most appropriate thematically episode of NPO we have ever done because there's so much rage going on right now. I'm going to go with my list next. We'll see if I can calm it down, but I don't think so. First up on my list, Battletoads, because that frickin' speed racer bike where you go up and up and down and down and down and then you hit the log. It's bull crap. All right. Next up, Project 1999. Any of you who have played Classic EverQuest or have heard me rant about the difficulty of Classic EverQuest can appreciate perhaps what it's like to log in for a night, get lost in some sort of mazy dungeon without a map, and by the way, you might have had a few beers to drink that night. But anyway, you die, you lose your corpse, and you just do not even feel like getting the corpse back. And then 7 days later, all of your equipment is gone. you've lost a fair chunk of experience, and you've pretty much thrown 2 months of progression down the toilet, and you don't come back after that. Except I do, because I make poor life decisions. I did come back. Oh well. Moving on to the next on my list, Diablo 3, not the current Diablo 3, the launch version of Diablo 3 with absolutely no loot optimization, absolutely no means of advancing your character besides grinding and hoping to win the lottery or paying a ridiculous amount of real-world money or gold on the auction house and trying to progress through Inferno difficulty. There were so many table flips in that I'm fortunate that I did not have more tables, else they all would have been flipped. Fourth on my list, Street Fighter 2. Not necessarily the game itself, but I was playing with my brother, and he kept picking E Honda. And he had that stupid little thing that he does with his hands.
Underhand slap.
Yes, and my brother kept winning with it, and he kept taunting me about it. And so I punched my baby brother right in the face. And my mom took away our Sega Genesis for a little while. And then last on my list is Final Fantasy X. I, to this day, have not finished Final Fantasy X since I encountered the boss that turned you undead and then complete healed you. Because how are you supposed to get around that? I don't understand how anybody has ever beaten that game. But apparently people have. All right, that's my list.
I beat that game.
Yeah, I know you did, you little... Anyway. Why don't you tell us what you rage quit about, TJ?
Okay, then. In opposition to you guys, I'm just going to remain calm. The first thing on my list...
Gotta be a special little snowflake.
Always. The first thing on my list is the Sword of Truth series. Oh man, it's going to be really hard to stay calm. I don't know if anybody else out there has read these books, but I got a handful of books in and was just so enraged by the poor quality of the writing and just the sheer soapboxing that they had from the main character. When you hit a point in a book where you realize that this main character is no longer speaking about what the character is thinking or feeling, but instead is just a mouthpiece for the political viewpoint of the author, that's when I'm just like, no, I'm out. I don't care anymore. I'm out. Next on my list is One More Day, an arc in Spider-Man in which he sells his marriage to the devil. It's a little more complicated than that, but that's good enough. And there was just something about it that was utterly out of character for Spider-Man. None of it made sense. It completely retconned out a whole lot of good stuff. It was just a terrible decision. And I honestly don't know if I've bought an issue of Spider-Man since then. And this was like 10 years ago. Next up on my list is a game called Faxanadu, which was a kind of fantasy sort of game where everything was in sepia tones. And you had to find, in typical NES fantasy game fashion, you had to find little things like keys and stuff to progress through the game. And I played probably 100 times trying to get through and figure out where a particular key was, and I never could, and eventually I just gave up. And now, as an adult, I obviously have the internet at my disposal, and I've looked up, how to do it. And it's one of those things where you think, how would anybody figure that out? And I'll tell you how you figure that out, by paying $2.99 a minute to call one of the hotlines, because that's what they were pushing you to do. Next on my list is another video game called Treasure Master, which was a really unique experience for me. It was part of a contest where MTV was running a contest with like Toys R Us, and they put out an NES game where you had to figure out how to beat the game, and then you could get a code from MTV, beat the game, and get an unlocked code and call them on this hotline and win like $10,000 or various trips, different prizes and stuff. And I played and played and played and played and played and played and played, just beating my head against the wall. It was ridiculous. It was such a terrible game. I shouldn't have spent the time on it that I did. But what finally caused me to rage quit was when I finally was looking through the booklet, looking for any kind of hint or anything to get me past it, and I realized that the contest had been over for a couple of months at that point. And that was the end of it. And last on my list involves some of our fellow Mana Biscuiters. When RJ was initially running a game of Vampire, which is a tabletop role-playing game that, as some few of you may not know, in which he decided to make some ridiculously overpowered NPCs and then throw them at his party, and he proceeded to, in the first round of combat, one-shot my character. And I was like, well, fuck it. And I got up and I left.
Walked out, set fire to his front porch.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So spoiler tag and profanity tag, because I'm not editing all of this. I would rage quit Mana Biscuit if I had to. All right, so yeah, honorable mentions. How about this list, because it inspired so much rage in us all?
It was so
I
difficult.
honestly couldn't believe it was that difficult.
Well, not just difficult, but it puts you in that headspace because you're remembering these times you were in rage. At least for me. But anyway.
All right, let's do the top five of the top five.
Top five of the top five. Battletoads.
Yes,
because we all
Battletoads.
played that crap. Jay's business with the NES games, which kind of includes Battletoads, but you know what? We're being cheap today. Okay.
Sword of Truth, because you and I both did it.
Sword of Truth. We quit at the exact same book when it turned into third-rate Ayn Rand bullcrap. Let's see. We need two more.
Well, almost finished.
Jay, what do you got up your list?
Oh crap! There was one on TJ's list I friggin' loved.
Treasure Master.
Yeah, because that's some pretty epic trolling.
Dude, that
right
was
there.
a great story. yeah, but that was...
All right, and even though it doesn't have resonance for you two, I'm just gonna say the time I punched my baby brother in the face for Street Fighter 2. All right, that's our top five of the top five.
Think to your mom, right? Because number one on your list is punching your baby brother.
Yeah, my mom's not gonna watch this because there's too much profanity.
That's true. Dang.
All right.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. So
why are you apologizing to her on the video she won't watch?
Because she's a nice lady. She's a nice lady. All right, we're going to get out of here. We're going to take a deep breath, and we're going to record an episode of Mana Biscuit, which you guys will see later this week. But for now,
presumably,
we will see you guys next week with more No Particular Order. Bye-bye.
All right.
Cigarette.